Barrister Aloy Ejimako, thank you for your time with us today.
It's my pleasure having you.
Make I just start by asking this question. You don't see Nnamdi Kanu?
Yes. First of all, for the benefit of the viewers, what I'm about to say will be best expressed in English than Pidgin, so I must apologize for that, because legal terms will be occurring here a lot today. Yes, I met him yesterday for almost 3 hours at the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja. And we had quite an interaction, private interaction initially, and later on he was interviewed by 3 DSS officers in my presence. I wanted to call it an interrogation, but they said, no, it's an interview, during which they asked him routine questions, but most of the questions centered on his being the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and the activities of that organization. So he answered the questions in a relaxed atmosphere, with bearing in mind his constitutional rights not to incriminate himself. Of course, some of the questions had background information that he considered incomplete, and he told the officers that he was not able to answer some of those questions because the information that they supplied to him was incomplete. So the interview went without incident, and at some point it was brought to a close. I think maybe there's going to be another interview to be scheduled, but I have not been informed of that yet.
And you go there in that other interview, you go there with your client, Nnamdi Kanu, for those other interviews will go happen after today.
Will you go?
You go there with your client?
Yes, I go there with normally, his right to counsel has attached. So any further interview, whether it's called interview or interrogation, any interaction on the matter as to what he did or what he didn't do or the allegations can never occur without presence of counsel. If he does, he'll be tempted and he'll be inadmissible in court. Okay,
so before we talk more about this, you say, aside from the interview your client Nnamdi Kanu gets with the DSS officers, you also get private interaction with him. Yes. Before we go into details on that, in as much as you can share with us, if you describe to us when you see Nnamdi Kanu, how he be, what's in his state of mind?
Well, his state of mind wasn't as sound as it should be. You know, if you listen to his broadcast, you would know that he's a historian. But when I was talking with him, he had trouble recalling the actual date he was abducted. It surprised me. So to jog his memory, I asked him how many nights he spent in Abuja before he was brought to court. He told me 2 nights. So he was brought to court on Tuesday, the 29th June. So we figured he must have been brought into the country on Sunday, the 27th. So when I mentioned that date, he said, sure, that's the date. But I took particular note of that. I also noticed that he had a visible injury on his right wrist. I asked him what it was. He said it was where they had chained him, put the chain on him, and chained him to the concrete floor in Nairobi, Kenya. And he has disappearing injury on the left wrist and an injury right here at the nape of the neck. So he related to me. I asked him what happened, and what happened, much of it is now public knowledge. So what I'm doing is by way of adumbration, supplying more information.
You could tell us more about what's happened, because you talk about, you just mentioned Kenya, and Kenyan government don't come out to talk, say, they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for Kenya. So tell us more about this.
What happened is this. MAZI Kanu entered Kenya, I believe, on a certain date, right around April this year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to establish the actual date of entry. But I have documentation from a Kenyan hospital that placed him in Kenya as of 14th April this year, 14th May. So he entered Kenya.
And what did they do for Kenya hospital?
He went there because he had issues with his heart. He felt he wasn't well. So he went there, he was examined, and the diagnosis was hypertension and heart murmur. They made prescriptions for him, and my examination of the medical report indicated medications for heart and controlling blood pressure. So apparently he entered Kenya before the 14th May this year. So he had settled in at a location in Nairobi, a temporary location, and he entered with his passport. The biographic page of his passport was made available to me as of counsel, and the page bearing the stamp, the immigration stamp that admitted him to Kenya, was also made available to me. So I had irrebuttable evidence, independent of what he was going to tell me, that placed him in Kenya before the extraordinary rendition. So when that day, on the fateful day, that was on I believe on the 19th, yes, not believe, certain, 100%, he drove himself to the airport from his temporary location in Kenya. He drove to Jomo Kenyatta International and went into the garage, the underground garage, to pick up a visitor flying in from outside. Okay, that is not necessary for this discussion, the identity or whatever. So the moment he got into the parking lot, the garage, a group of several men well armed to the teeth.
And this now waiting now they can tell you about what you remember of waiting happened before they bring him to Nigeria.
This is what he told me, and his recollection of this was very, very lucid and clear.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so now they swooped on him. They gathered and grabbed him, okay, in a very physical, rough way, and he raised the lamp. Clear that this person you're looking at is a Nigerian terrorist who assists the Al-Shabaab terrorists in Kenya. And apparently most of the people that wanted to intervene, the Good Samaritans, are Kenyans. And you know, Al-Shabaab has quite an extensive operation in Kenya, just like we have the Boko Haram here. So perhaps there's this emotional thing about it that they shouldn't be saving anybody that is linked to Al-Shabaab. He said in that moment of indecision and maybe reluctance to further intervene, they grabbed him, put him in their car, and left, and took him to a private residence, not an official detention facility, where they chained him to the floor for most of the 8 days.
Who be these people?
Well, I asked him who they are. He told me they are Kenyan security officials. I asked him why. He said the insignia, the courage, that he had arrived Kenya, so he had a bit knowledge of the terrain. I'm sorry to say, they really beat him a lot. So, but at some point when he was trying to explain himself, he told me he was blindfolded most of the time, chained to the floor, bare floor. And he told me that it looks like one of them decided to be a little bit intellectual about the whole thing and went out and maybe got some information, came back and said, hey, listen, he's not what we think he is. They lied to us. And that was when they disclosed to him that, listen, the real purpose of grabbing you was at the behest of the Nigerian government. Nigerian government hired us to grab you, to abduct you with that information that you are linked to Al-Shabaab. He said, okay, you gotta let me go. He said, no. We are committed already. We have to hand it over.
But the Kenyan government don't clearly talk, say they don't get hand for this, and they not arrest Nnamdi Kanu for the ground. And also the federal government never come out to talk anything about where your client, where they arrest your client from.
Okay. Anyway, I have, you see, it's not going to be a question of he said, she said. I'm a lawyer. I operate on the basis of independent and credible evidence. The Kenyan High Commissioner might have sounded credible to the general public, but information available to me can impeach every single word she uttered, including the denial that came from the home government. I have immigration stamp placing Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya just 2 months before his abduction. I have medical evidence placing him at a Kenyan hospital. Okay? And I have his own word. He's a man of sound mind. Then, fourthly, after the Guardian newspaper UK broke the news that MAZI Nnamdi Kanu's British passport was still in Kenya, the following day, Kenyan authorities raided that very location for the first time, from where he took off to the airport. So he connected the dots.
And what's in your client, Nnamdi Kanu, tell you about how they move him from Kenya, as you talk, say tell you, to Nigeria?
Yes. You see, he said on the fateful day, that was the 27th on Sunday, 27th June, they drove him in a car to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, blindfolded him, and bundled him inside a private jet, like a Learjet. I asked him if it's a Boeing 777, so whatever, or Airbus, the big ships. He said no, it's a normal private jet that you often would see some people owning private jet, that kind of size. And he was the lone passenger in that jet, in that plane, and he didn't clear immigration. They drove him straight, on the tarmac, straight to the plane, and very close to the plane, and put him inside the plane with Nigerian security officials, and left about 12 noon in the afternoon, and landed Nigeria same day in the evening, around something after 4 to 5.
You talk about the fact, say, you don't see your client. You talk about his physical and mental state. Tell us more about his mental state. You talk, say, he seemed to be like, say, he seemed to forget things.
No, that's not what I mean. What I meant is this, that he appears like somebody who has been mentally traumatized, so he's unwilling to talk about one or two things until you prompt him. Like when I prompted him about the date, that's the conclusion I drew. How many nights he spent in Abuja. No, he's not. He's traumatized. He has trauma. He has mental trauma and physical trauma. And the trauma continues because the first night he spent in Nigeria, he told me, in that one he did in the presence of DSS officers, when they asked him if he has concerns, certain concerns. He said, yes, the first night he was brought to the facility. They put him in a room with a small old mattress and left a very bright light on throughout the night. So he had sleep deprivation of the extreme order. It was the following day, perhaps, maybe someone decided it shouldn't be this way. So they put him in a better place. So the trauma continues in terms of his being held incommunicado. He's not allowed to have contact, like you will expect of a detention facility, except with his visitors. And up to this moment, his visitors have only been lawyers.
So how long it take for them to allow you and your like other lawyers?
Well, I've been trying to see him since Friday. I thought I was going to succeed on Tuesday. I didn't. So eventually I succeeded yesterday. So when I raised a bit of mild objection, the officer told me that it was a matter of inconvenience for them.
No contact with family members?
Not yet. I made requests for that yesterday.
Make we talk about the trial we go begin again on the 26th of July.
Yes.
How prepared una dey for that trial?
Well, we are, but there's not going to be any trial. There's going to be trial within trial. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu is, by legal definition, worldwide legal definition, what is called extraordinary rendition. It's a state crime. It's a crime by the state. If a private individual abducts or violently and illegally seizes another individual, it's called kidnapping, and is a very, in some jurisdictions, is a capital offense. When state does it, it's called extraordinary rendition. That's what happened. So if you rendered or you renditioned a fugitive or a suspect, you have lost jurisdiction to try that suspect because you committed an international crime. You broke your own laws. You broke the laws of the third state from which territory you renditioned that individual. And you broke the laws of the second state of nationality of that individual. That is what is playing out here, because we have three divergent but also compliant jurisdictions. The three jurisdictions here, Nigeria, Kenya, and UK, their laws prohibit extraordinary rendition. The only legal pathway to grabbing a suspect from one jurisdiction to another for England, for UK, for Kenya and Nigeria, is through extradition. It has a process. Nigeria has an Extradition Act, which you can find at the Laws of Federation of Nigeria, Chapter E25. Kenya has its own. It's called Extradition Commonwealth Countries Act. Britain has its own. The three laws are very similar. So there's no conflict of law here. The only conflict of law is that Nigeria chose to break its own law, Kenyan law and British law. So that conflict will be ventilated in court to see whether there is jurisdiction to try him for any offense, or whether the proper thing to do is it not to return him to the state that he was, despite the bench warrant that was issued by the Federal High Court here. The bench warrant is not a competent legal document to go into a foreign country and illegally grab a suspect. It's not. It should have become one if Nigerian authorities had submitted the process to extradition proceedings in Kenya and succeeded in the final analysis in getting a warrant or order of extradition. It would have been okay. So the first issue before the court here is not to try Nnamdi for any criminal offense, but to have a trial within trial, because extradition is, of course, is an act of forcible abduction. So it's considered torture under the Torture Convention. And Britain has case authorities where it has asserted extraterritorial jurisdiction, what is otherwise known as universal jurisdiction, to indict and try and imprison those that are engaged in such conduct. And if Nigeria was lucky that this did occur on British soil, if it did, we would have had a throwback to 1984 when Nigeria tried it and failed. This one, they failed because it was on British soil. They created a man named Omar Odiko, and they were caught at the airport. It was the same thing. The only thing that differs Diko from Nnamdi Kanu is that Kanu wasn't created, and he was kidnapped in a third state. Diko was kidnapped, created. At the airport, British authorities got suspicious and the whole thing unraveled. 17 men were arrested, 4 were in prison for between 6 to 8 years and deported when they were out of jail. Britain broke diplomatic relations with Nigeria for 2 years. They expelled the Nigerian ambassador, the High Commissioner, and some diplomatic staff found complicit in that grievous crime. And it was a whole lot of noise internationally. And Nigeria's subsequent request, formal request, meritorious request for extradition of DICO and the others, other Nigerians wanted who were in UK, were summarily denied by Britain. So there are definitely, for sure, countervailing measures when a nation tries to commit such a grievous crime just because they want to have a suspect before their judicial authorities. There are things that the country should have done right, but they decided not to do it.
Okay, so they've been calls don't come from different quarters, from different groups, say the federal government must handle this case on the fair note, that the trial must happen, Nnamdi Kanu trial must happen on the fair note. Does this make you optimistic?
Fair trial?
That Nnamdi Kanu must have a fair trial?
You see, there is it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction to say that a jurisdiction that broke the laws of 3 countries and the international law, that's the 4th component, to bring a suspect before that jurisdiction should be expected to give fair trial to such individual. But like I said, we haven't even gotten to that bridge yet. When we get to the bridge of whether he's going to get fair trial or not, we are going to ventilate it. The bridge we have to cross first is the bridge of testing the impact of the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu for any criminal offenses stemming from the extraordinary rendition. That's where we are.
So finally, pretty weighty allegations and accusations against your client. And some people who I don't talk to, say, now all these things they will bring up during the trial. Talk about his utterances for Radio Biafra, talk about him asking people to take up arms and commit some atrocities, like they said. All this will come up during the trial, and they say the federal government gets very big evidence, weighty evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. Waiting they go through your client's mind, if they think about the trial, does it make him worried?
Nnamdi Kanu, especially during his interview with the DSS officers, he explained to them, they asked a question similar to this. He said, what I set out to do is protected under the laws of Federation of Nigeria and under international law, which is self-determination. And I set out to do it through peaceful means of referendum. I was singing referendum like a song. Now, how can you say I committed a crime for pushing something, for holding a protected political opinion? I can give you the quotation. It's at cap A9, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, Article 20 and Article 1. It's Nigerian law. But I'm wondering if maybe the Attorney General is not yet aware of it, or it hasn't been brought to his attention. So he has what lawyers call an affirmative defense, that he hasn't committed any offense by virtue of Section 36, subsection 12 of Nigerian Constitution, which stated clearly that no Nigerian can be tried and convicted for any offense that is not written down in a written law. Self-determination, asking for self-determination or referendum is not an offense. Even asking to secede is not an offense. It's not an offense to ask to secede, because they frame the charge in terms of you, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, committed an offense because you ask that you said you are going to secede. So that question really is self-explanatory from the way he put it. So in legalese, he has no case to answer on that. It's a legal issue. But again, we have the other part of it. He who asserts must prove. In criminal law, we say you cannot convict any man unless you prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. If federal government feels it has quantum evidence to convict him, it's their case. The burden is on them to do that. After they have done that, we now mount our defense.
Barrister Aloy Ejimako, yes. Thank you for your time with us.
It's my pleasure having you. Thank you.
What do? Just now so. And they know. And I don't need to let you know before you know.
It's M. Josh on the beat.
When Guru never show, they say hand on show. Say that I'm man, into Lagos. Country getting plenty doctors. Money come fly, doctor come cure. When Guru come show, hospital close. Everybody running, church shuts down. Professional doctors, into go school. They get on show for the big man house. Hospital nadago, facilities nadago, education nadago. Power supply na zero. Now Guru don't show for area. News headline don't talk. Say chief of staff don't carry. Say governors don't carry. Say ministers don't carry. Say senators don't carry. If you like president, you don't carry. But three champos for this thing. Hospital they no get. Facilities they no get. 9.1 billion to pocket.
Thank you. Welcome to today's edition of IPOB Radio Biafra Asia Desk. Today we are looking at some of the events that is happening both in IPOB and some of other Biafrans that are not within the family of IPOB. So today we are looking at the announcement that has been made by the head of the Directorate of States of the Indigenous People of Biafra, MAZI Kalu, who came on Radio Biafra earlier on today to brief Biafrans on the happenings and the situation of things concerning our leader, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, MAZI Kalu, who is undergoing torture and unlawful incarceration in Nigerian DSS dungeon for having not committed any crime. The leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, MAZI Kalu, is pursuing and asking for self-determination, which is under the United Nations Charter for the rights of indigenous people. And also this right is enshrined under the domestic laws of Nigeria, which is the Africa Charter on Human and People's Rights, which is called Ratification and Enforcement Act, Chapter 20, Cap A9. Under this law, African Charter, Nigeria is mandated to even assist the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, MAZI Kalu, if he so seek for self-determination under this law. But unfortunately, we see that the people of Biafra asking for this enshrined law, this self-determination, asking for it, we are killed. Asking for this self-determination, we are incarcerated. Asking for this self-determination, we have been subjected to all sorts of inhumane treatments all over the world, especially in Nigeria, by the Nigerian state, violating these international laws. The leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, MAZI Kalu, was renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria, breaking international laws, breaking all the international diplomatic norms and traditions. And today, he is being held incommunicado without meeting his family, without talking to his family. So these are the things that we have seen under this Nigerian state, and we have been peacefully agitating for this self-determination. IPOB is a movement that is structured with capable hands. Today, the leadership of the Indigenous People of Biafra under the Directorate of States for the Indigenous People of Biafra have suspended the Monday sit at home that was earlier on planned, which we said that we will sit at home on every successive Mondays until our leader is released from the dungeon of the Nigerian Detention Center. But as it is, we, the indigenous people of Biafra, we follow orders. We have a leadership. We have the DOS. Our leader, MAZI Kanu, is also a member of the DOS. So the people of Biafra, the indigenous people of Biafra, family members of IPOB all over the world, we understand, we know the directions of which our leadership is taking us, and we understand it perfectly. That is the reason why we urge every other person, every other individual, every other Biafran all over the world, wherever you are, to join the indigenous, the IPOB family units nearest to you, so that when there is an order, we will understand it and digest it within ourselves without going on Facebook to say, oh, DOS, they don't know what they are doing. No, they know what they are doing. This decision to suspend this Monday sit at home is the best. This is because the success that we have achieved on the 9th of August 2021 is something that has rang bell all over the world. All the major international media reported about it, saying that the people of Biafra have decided to take back their sovereignty, which really belongs to the people in our hands. So it is widely reported. And the politicians in Nigeria, those people that have conjugated us, those people that have subjugated us, those people that has been used by the Fulanis to enslave our destiny, those people that have been used to make sure that we do not have electricity in our communities, those people that have assumed authority by rigging, those people that have been selected by these occupiers of our land, these occupiers of our resources, these occupiers of our collective interest, these occupiers that has made our talents to be useless to us. These people, they are agitated. They said that we should stop the sit at home. And by putting this pressure on the indigenous people of Biafra to suspend it, it is because of some certain reason which they themselves they have seen. They have seen that they have lost control of the people. They have become leaders without followers. They understand that the people of Biafra do not listen to them because they do not represent the interests of the people. They have understood that the people listen and obey only the indigenous people of Biafra, ably led by MAZI Kanu. IPOB is a movement. It's a well-structured movement that is oiled by the members of IPOB worldwide, financing the activities, making sure that our people are liberated using peaceful means, using this fundamental United Nations Charter, using this fundamental Africa Charter, using this fundamental Nigerian laws, which is the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which is called, under the Nigerian law, it is called Enforcement and Ratification Act, Cap A9, in chapter 20. You will see where it outlined that the state, the Nigerian state, being a signatory to this charter, must help, assist, and they provide logistics to any part of the country that is seeking for self-determination under this charter. Nigeria is a signatory to this charter. It is called Africa Charter on Human and People's Rights, Enforcement and Ratification Act, Cap A9, Chapter 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 1983. This is the basis of the agitation for the freedom of Biafra today. We have never killed anybody. We have never been involved in any illegality. Since 2015 that our people have been killed, Since 2015, our people have been unlawfully incarcerated. Since 2015, our people have been maimed, our property destroyed, our communities occupied by the Fulanese. There has never been any law court with any form of jurisdictional competence in Nigeria that have found any member, any IPOB family member guilty of any crime. We are not criminals. We don't kill. We are not murderers. We don't commit crime. We are asking for self-determination, which is guaranteed by the law. That is the reason why today we, the IPOB Biafrans living in Asia, we are calling upon the Biafrans all over the world who are not part of the IPOB movement to join, because what we face is a collective annihilation by the Fulanese. What we face is a collective humiliation. When we present this Nigerian passport, it is a curse on all of us. So these are the reasons why all of us, we must sit up and join this movement so that we have one voice. We have a collective force to face these challenges that we all face. We are living in Asia, we have children. We are living in Asia, we leave our families, we are here. We don't like it. We want to be in our homes. We want to be in our communities. We want to enjoy what we used to enjoy when we were back there. But look at what is happening. The Fulanese has taken over our land. The Fulanese are in control of every logistics in Nigeria. Go to the every part of Biafra land, all the police commissioners are Fulanese. These Fulanese were strategically placed there for a purpose. This purpose is the purpose of conquest. The Fulanese are not Nigerians. The Fulanese are invaders. There is no land anywhere called Fulani land in Nigeria. There is nowhere in Nigeria called Fulani land. They do not belong to Nigeria. They are invaders. And today they are being used to subjugate us. Today they are being used to turn us to slaves in our own land. So what we are saying is this: the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra, being controlled at the moment by the DOS, Directorate of States, heavily led by MAZI Kalu, have suspended the Monday sit at home. And this sit at home will be observed on the day that our leader will be at the court, which is at the month of October. So it is a very welcome development. It is a very good tactical move. It is a very good development, because why we see this as a good development is because we have recorded success on the 9th of August. And these political criminals have been agitated because of this success. Because this success have shown to the world that these criminals are not in charge of our land. These criminals are usurpers. So that message has been passed to the world. And after this message has been passed, these politicians, they have been strategizing, looking for a way to absorb this sit at home, which is a potent tool in our hands now at the moment to dislodge these people that have enslaved us for so many decades. So they came out, they have been bribing people, they have been calling meetings here and there, calling market women, calling Okada riders, calling Keke na Pepe people, giving them a lot of money, bribing them so as to make sure that they destroy every plan that we have in order to see that there will be no success in what we are doing on the 26th. So they have planned, they have dished out money, they have given out money to a lot of people waiting to make sure that they render this potent tool impotent, so that tomorrow, when we call for a seat at home, it will never be observed. It will not be strong anymore. So I commend the leadership of IPOB. I commend them so much. They are great tacticians. What we are doing is like a chase. That is what it is. This is not a joke. The Fulanis are playing their own card, recruiting Boko Haram into the army, telling Nigerians that they have forgiven them. How do you forgive terrorists? You just forgive them just like that, and the army are giving them goods, giving them food, giving them clothing, a lot of things. Terrorists that have bombed cities, terrorists that have bombed churches, terrorists that have killed a lot of people. What kind of policy is that? And you still see some of our people still talking about Igbo presidency. So I use this opportunity to commend the leadership of IPOB for this move, because this is the right move at the right time. Because if we do not do, if the DOS did not move in this direction, this politician would have found a way to rubbish the seat at home and try their best to render it impotent. So I commend the leadership of IPOB for seeing reason and seeing things ahead of others. I saw a lot of people on Facebook saying they are angry. They don't like why that the DOS, they don't know what they are doing. No, what they did is the perfect strategy to go. So we should be ready and get prepared to sit at home on the day that our leader will be at the court. It is still the same thing. So we should understand why we are in IPOB is to understand the rhythm of what we are doing. We are not just ordinary followers. You will be able to understand when things are said. You process it and apply critical thinking and know why this decision was made. Not just immediately the DOS finished saying things, people started shouting, writing on Facebook angrily. You don't have to be angry, because we are in a movement. We are in a struggle for liberation. Liberation movement. There is no book written down that this is the way to follow. So when you see a reasonable move, you will understand it. That is why we are in IPOB. Although I know that so many of the people that are commenting on Facebook, they are not even in IPOB. So many of them are not contributing anything. I have found out that the people that are worried when things are happening in IPOB are even those that are not in IPOB, even those who have never contributed anything, a dime, towards this restoration. But they are the first to go to Facebook to talk about issues concerning IPOB. This is very bad. We should learn how to collectively pursue our goal as a people. That is what our problem is. So many people will come, they tell you that we are not, we don't love ourselves. We don't love ourselves. What do you mean we don't love ourselves? What do you mean we don't love ourselves? We are in IPOB. That is why we say everybody should join IPOB, so that we have an understandable a plan and way of doing things, because we are not getting it right. Even Africa in general, we are not getting it right. It's only when we come together and outline these things and know the foundation of our problem. The foundation of our African problem is not what we are saying. Some people are saying bad leadership, bad leadership. It is not. The foundation of Africa problem is the 1885 Berlin Conference, where Africa was partitioned. That is the foundation of Africa, giving Africa boundaries that is alien to our people. You see a Yoruba land divided into three. One part is in Nigeria, one part is in Benin Republic, one part is in Togo. Why will it be like that? Some are speaking French, some are speaking English. It is very wrong. This is the foundational problem of Africa, which if we do not tackle it, we will never be free. We will continue to migrate through the Atlantic Ocean. We will continue to live in Asia and trying to make ends meet. We have never seen other people going to our land to make ends meet. So these are the things, the mentality of we Africans should change. We should understand why are we underdeveloped, and we continue to be underdeveloped and there is no sign. Why is that? The type of suffering that people undergo in Africa is never seen anywhere in the whole world. Why is it? Despite the abundance of the resources, despite the abundance of manpower that we have, we cannot harness it to use it to our own good. So these are the problems. In Africa, when you try to point out all these things and try to change the status quo for the people that are at the contemporary today to enjoy, those that have contributed towards the subjugation of Africa, we pick up arms to kill us. Go to Ethiopia today, you see how they are killing each other. You go to Cameroon, you see how the Cameroon government is killing the people of Amazonia. You come to Nigeria, you see how Nigerian government is buying ammunition from America to kill the people of Biafra and other people who do not believe in the jihadist ideologies of these Fulanis. It is time for us to wake up wherever we are to understand that our destiny lies in our hands. Nobody will do it for us unless we do it by ourselves. So that is the reason why we always urge our people, wherever you are, to join IPOB family. To contribute your quota, you must do something. Freedom is never given. You must take freedom by yourself. We must take freedom. If we must live as a people with dignity, we must be free. Economic success can never be translated to political freedom. That is the reason we are still backward. In Africa, we do not have the political freedom to have policies that will industrialize Africa. Without industrialization, how will Africa develop? These are the fundamental issues which Africa should be looking up to, but we are not looking in that direction because those that we are choosing to represent us are still living and applying every vestiges of this colonial impact, this colonialism that has kept us in this quagmire that we see ourselves today. And there is nobody that is doing anything about it. We are looking for a way to buy G-Wagon. We are looking for a way to make merry without thinking about the future that we are going to leave for the unborn. In Africa today, we don't think for the future. We only think, how do we eat today? We are asked to make a little sacrifice for our future. We will not. We want to make a little sacrifice for your children to reap. You will not. That is the problem we have in Africa. We lack that investment for the future. We don't think for the future of others. We only think for today. This mentality is what we must change in Africa if we must progress. This is all I have to say today. I thank you for joining me today. This is still Radio Biafra from Asia coming to you. We are calling our brothers, those in Thailand, those in Malaysia, those in Indonesia, those in India, those in China, those in Macau, those in Hong Kong, those in Taiwan, those in Australia, wherever you are in Asia, join our family movement. Even if we are on lockdown here in Asia, we can still do something for our motherland, for our Biafra to be restored, because we are not free where we are living, even though if we have the passport of the country of our host, we are not part of them. We are still Africans as we are. So that is why we are calling upon you. If you have not joined our family movement, IPOB in Asia, you can call us, you can contact us and make the inquiries to start a family, to join a family. This is a collective effort. We have to do it by ourselves. Every countries of the world, people fought, people died. Even here where we are, people died, fought, and sacrificed with their blood. That is why we are here today enjoying the electricity in this country. That is why we are here today enjoying all the things that the government puts in place for the betterment of their citizens. So this is what we want to do for ourselves, because our people, we have remained underdeveloped since 1970 because of government policy, because of Fulani agenda, because of Fulani plan to subjugate everybody in Nigeria. That is the reason why they are recruiting Boko Haram into the Nigerian army. It is never done in anywhere. No country of the world recruits terrorists into their main army. It is never done. And our brothers, our people who are still serving under the Nigerian army, they are risking themselves. All these terrorists that are being recruited into the Nigerian army, they are sent to the east, to Biafra land, to terrorize, to kill, to maim. A lot of our people have been killed. There are 3 brothers that were shot at 2 days ago in Anambra State. They were driving. It could happen to anybody. It doesn't matter if you are an IPOB member or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in Biafra or not. When Nigeria happens to you, nobody will save you. That is why we are agitating peacefully for Biafra to be free, so that we can live like a dignified people. Thank you for joining me today. See you again next time. Bless you.
Headache, worry, rich man go to America. But now we matter don't serious. America love their game. Youth hospitals them say no. Train doctors them say no. Build a school them say no. Give us lights them say no. Security na zero. If poor man sick, he could die here. Poor man no get him out. Poor man no fit to talk. Poor man life na nonsense. Animals everywhere. Animals get a value. Get value for human. Then send animals to carry on. Animals shoot people. Animals kill people. Animals murder people. Nobody for human. When Corona patrol, they say he don't show. Say that a man in the Lagos country getting plenty doctors. When they come fly, doctor come cure. When Corona come show, hospital, everybody run, church shuts down. Professional doctors, see that goes to move. They get on show for the big man house. Welcome to Animal. That's up. What do? That's up. No. Hospital nadago, facilities nadago, education nadago, power supply na zero. Now Koro don't show for area. News headline don't talk. Say chief of staff don't carry. Say governors don't carry. Say ministers don't carry. Say senators don't carry. If you like president, you don't carry. But rich and poor go suffer this thing. Hospital they no get. Facilities they no get. 9.1 billion for pocket. Professional doctors in August. London hospital close for months. When Koro never show, they say he don't show. Say that a man in the Lagos country getting plenty doctors. Money come fly, doctor come down. Just welcome to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom. Animal City. Animal City. I welcome to Animal Country. Oh, Animal Country. Zoological Kingdom. Zoological Kingdom. Welcome to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom. Animal City. Oh, Animal City. You are welcome to Animal Country. Oh, Animal Country. Welcome to Zoological Kingdom. Zoological Kingdom. Yeah. Headache, worry, rich man go to America. But now we matter don't serious. America love ya again. Youth hospitals them say no. Train doctors them say no. Build a school them say no. Give us lights them say no. Security na zero. If poor man sick he go die here. Poor man no get him out. Poor man no fit dog. Poor man life na nonsense. Animals everywhere. Animals get value. Get value pass human being. Them send animals to carry gun. Animals shoot people. Animals kill people. Animals murder people. No value for human being. When Koro never show, they say he don't show. Say that a man in the Lagos country getting plenty doctors. Money come fly, doctor come cure. When Koro come show, hospital, everybody run, church shuts down. Professional doctors in August. They get on show for the big man house. Welcome to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom. Animal City. Animal City. I welcome to Animal Country. Oh, Animal Country. Zoological Kingdom. Zoological Kingdom. Welcome to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom. Animal City. Oh, Animal City. Welcome to Animal Country. Oh, Animal Country. Welcome to Zoological Kingdom. Zoological Kingdom.